Well, I'm back again, talking about some of my favorite franchises. As you can see, I'm in a new room, because we moved recently. So, I have a whole new setup, which is amazing. First off, I would love to say thank you to Digital Dream and the Digi Dudes, because without you guys, I probably would have never been interested in some of these things. Especially this. It is the VPET Digimon 20th anniversary. Of course, to go with that, I got the Greymon boy. The only card that I have for the Digimon. So, of course, the first franchise that I'm going to be talking about today is Digimon. Of course, you can't talk about Digimon without starting with the very first game. Well, one of the very first games. I think it... Well, if you want to consider this a game, they came out first. But that would be Digimon World. Game is amazing. Of course, a lot of people say it's broken, which it is, but haven't got too far into it. But after owning one of these for about a week now, I appreciate this even more. And speaking of the Digimon World games, I have a newfoundly appreciation and respect for Digimon World Next Order. I'm actually enjoying it a lot more from when I first owned it, well, first got it, because of this little bad boy, which I've been having so much fun with this lately. I mean, let's see if you can see that little metal Mamemon. Sorry for the glare. Let's say we'll start off with little Mamemon. There you go. And then you got the boy himself, Greymon, Metal Greymon, Virus type. And there he is. Ooh, beautiful looking sprites, by the way. Love it. And of course, can't mention Digimon without Digimon Cyber Sleuth Stories and Hacker's Memory, which are great RPGs. Love them to death. If you haven't played them, I highly recommend you go and pick yourself up a copy, because they are fantastic games. Oh, there's just too much I want to say about it, but they're great games. You should pick them up. Alright, the second franchise I want to talk about, I actually learned about from a friend of my mom's, and also a friend of ours, and her boyfriend was playing the second one, and I was mesmerized, and I knew I had to have them. And that would be the Onimusha series. First one, beat, amazing game, love it. You can get it on the Switch now, which I actually have. Great games. Second one is by far my favorite. Such nostalgia with this game. Every time I play it, it brings back those nice good feel-goods. You know what I mean. If you're a gamer, you know what I mean. And then, of course, we have Onimusha 3. A little bit different, but they brought back Samanosuke from the first one. And, of course, you get Jacques, the Frenchman, which I liked how they went back and forth with each of their stories, and then it kind of intertwined because they had to talk to each other between this little fairy-looking thing. Cool. Really great. And then, of course, I would say it's a little bit of an awkward game because it doesn't deal with any of them except for just the name Onimusha. But Onimusha Dawn of Dreams, I haven't actually beat this one. But, I mean, it's still a decent one. Not my favorite, of course. But it's good. So, I mean, if you like your Resident Evil and stuff, you'll be right at home with all four of these games. Because, of course, they got those nice good old tank controls. And they're fun. I highly recommend you treat yourself and you pick up a copy, or all four, whichever you prefer. Alright, the third franchise I want to talk about, which I only gonna grab out 3 of the games, but I have them back here, is, of course, you can't have any love without having some Final Fantasy action. And of course, the very first Final Fantasy I ever played was Final Fantasy IX. And I loved it. I only played a little bit of it as a kid, but now that I'm older and I actually have money to spend, getting a copy was fantastic. And of course, a lot of people thought this one was iffy because of the junction system, Final Fantasy VIII. I enjoy it, even though some people say it's kind of broken with that feature, but I still enjoy the game quite a bit. And of course, you can't talk about Final Fantasy without talking about Final Fantasy VII. The game that made Square Enix who they are today, because if it wasn't for this game, they probably would have never made another Final Fantasy game ever again. And of course, I have, let's see, where is it? Right here. Final Fantasy 12 Zodiac. I also have 10, 10-2, the HD remake over here on this shelf. Just fantastic games all around. They're just so much fun, and they take so long to beat, but they are fantastic games. And then, of course, I got 15 right there. Let's see, I think that's all of them that I have. I believe, at least all the ones that I can think of that I have at the moment. But of course, there's not much I have some of the Game Boy Advance ones. I have 1 and 2. I have, I think it's 6, the ones with the Magitek armor, and yeah, it is 6. 6 for the Game Boy Advance. I have Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. I think that's what's called, Advanced Tactics. Got that one complete in box. There, I think I have Crystal Chronicles too. Yes, I do. And then, of course, Crystal Chronicles, which just recently released on the Switch. But, of course, I own it on the GameCube because I love me some old games. So. Alright, the fourth franchise I want to talk about, or series of games, however you want to put it, is Bioshock. Now, when I first got my first Xbox 360, I only managed to get one game with it, with the controller, and that was, of course, the original Bioshock, which I believe I still have. Let's see. Well, it's in this area right here somewhere. I know I own it, it's just, I'm not going to look for it right this second, but I love these games. The first one was great. The second one was decent, even though you couldn't go back. Once you finished an area, you had to keep moving, so if you missed something, you were out of luck. And the third one, I thought was really good, especially since it was different because you were up in the sky versus underneath the ocean in Rapture. Columbia was pretty fun, and I like the new mechanic with the hook shot, or the hook thingamabob you get in it when you go down the railings. Pretty cool. And of course, love the guns, love the upgrades, and what are they called? The plasmids, that's what's there. Plasmids you get in them, they're unique with each one that they do and how they function, which I thought was great. And of course, some of them, like the electric plasmid, you could shoot water and it would electrocute any of the enemies that were in the water, which I thought was a great feature. But fantastic games. If you don't own them, either get them for the original Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, or go for the HD pack, which has all three. And they're fantastic games, and I highly recommend it because, like I said, when I got my Xbox 360, it was the first game I got for it, and I loved it to death. I 100%ed it. Alright, the next franchise I want to talk about is, of course, another one of my favorites, and that is the Shin Megami Tensei series. Whether you're talking about Persona, their Shin Megami Tensei 1-4, their Digital Devil Sagas, Devil Summoners, they're all fantastic games. This was actually a blind buy. This one and this one were the first two that I picked up. Thought this was great because, of course, when I read the back of it when I was at my local secondhand game store, it had Dante on the back. It was like, you know what, you could recruit Dante? Because, of course, back then we didn't have YouTube and references like that because internet was just starting to come out. So me as a kid, didn't own a phone or anything else like that. The best you could do is walk into your local game store and read the back of the cover, and of course that's how you picked out games. And I seen that there was Dante because I like the Devil May Cry series, but since I seen you could get him, great game. Extremely difficult, but it is a great game. And then of course I've spent way too much time into Persona 4. I think I've spent over 160 hours and then some, and I still have yet to beat it because I ended up breaking my PS2 and my copy of Persona 4 one day when I was playing. Broke my heart. Well, I also have it digitally, I've been restarting, and of course I restarted it on my Vita. Then it ended up not being able to charge, so I put another like 60 hours into that too. The golden version for the Vita is the best way to go because it's got all of it and then extras. Great game. Highly recommend it. And then, of course, we can't talk about Persona 4 without talking about Persona 3. And I got the FES, which has the Journey and, what is it, the other one called? The Answer. The final chapter, which I haven't got too far into this one, just because I didn't care for the sickness, because the characters go by moods, and they go into Tartarus at, like, the hidden hour at midnight. Well, your characters can feel good, sick, stuff like that, and it can hinder you from going into Tartarus, which is the dungeon you go into. Whereas this one, you go into the TV world, and you can go as much as you want without having to worry about your party members getting sick. And then, of course, I've been putting a lot of time into Persona 5. I love the art style they did with this. Fantastic game. If you have not played it, there's Persona 5 Royal, which has all the extra DLC and stuff like that. Still need to get my hands on it. Would love to get it, but I don't have it yet. But I still gonna make do with this. About 3/4 the way through it, I think, around there. About maybe halfway through it. Still loving it. Still a great game. Just pick it up. And then, of course, I still need to get the second one of these because this is the beginning, but it is Digital Devil Saga. And basically, it's just a all-out, I want to say, like, kind of reminds me of, like, a junkyard split into, like, 5 or 6 different clans. And they're all battling for territory. Which I love. It's got the demons in it like all the other Shin Megami games. And you can learn different skills or moves and stuff like that depending on which tree you go, whether it be like health, earth, fire, poison, stuff like that. Great game. Love the story so far. Should definitely pick it up. And then, of course, I have Shin Megami Tensei 4. Great RPG as well. You can recruit demons. Got a great story. All that fun junk. If you haven't played it, highly get it. I highly recommend you get it for your 3DS because it is definitely a fun one. And the Apocalypse version is, I hear, is even better, but I don't own that version. I just own 4. Still, great game, nonetheless. And then, of course, on my PSP, I have Persona 2, I think it's Eternal Punishment, I think it was. I'm pretty sure it's Eternal Punishment. It's the one with Maya being the journalist. Fun game. Haven't got too far into that one. You get like these tarot cards. That's how you summon your personas and stuff, or make new personas. Haven't got too far into it. Probably about like maybe an hour or two. Still working my way through it, but nonetheless, the Shin Megami games, Tensei games, they're great games. And there's even some that I haven't even mentioned that are just as great. So I highly recommend you pick up 1 or 2 or any of them that you fancy, because they're all great. We're on to, I believe, number 6 for my franchises that I just adore. And of course, it's going to come no shocker to anyone that knows me, but I love me some Monster Hunter. And this is Monster Hunter World. Still need to get Iceborne. Great game. Very easy for newcomers to join in, because some of the older games, well, the other style games, because this is different, a little bit different, because it's easier to go through, versus some of the grinding you have to do with the other ones, because the potions, and of course you get the hook shot, and some other neat mechanics, and of course mounting. But they did do mounting in Generations 4, and of course, or in Japan it's called Monster Hunter Cross and Double Cross, which is Monster Hunter Ultimate X, I think it is. Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate. Played a lot of Ultimate on my Switch, but I've also put a decent amount of time on Generations on my 3DS, and of course, you got your Monster Hunter Stories, which is a little bit of a spin-off. See if I can get it to focus. I don't think I'm going to get it to focus, but it's Monster Hunter Stories, love this game. It's a little bit different because it's more of an RPG and you kind of collect the monsters versus killing them to make parts or get parts for armor, weapons, and then of course you can also deck out your little palicos, or I don't remember what they called the acorn dude in this one, but you can deck him out with stuff. I got Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate 2 for the 3DS, which I put somewhere, but I'm not sure exactly where. But I have been putting so much time into Monster Hunter 4 recently. Been loving it. Oh, such a great franchise. I mean, a lot of people say it's just it's a grind fest, which it really is, but if you enjoy that kind of thing, it'll be right up your alley. Great games. I love the grind aspect because you're always trying to get that next equipment or that next set or that better upgrade for your weapon, and frankly I'm a sucker for it. So I mean, they're great games, but if I were to recommend one to start off with, if you're new, it would have to be Monster Hunter World, which you can get pretty cheap just for the Monster Hunter World. I believe you can probably pick it up for about like maybe $20 or something like that, but super cheap. Really good place to start. Otherwise, any of the other ones are, I mean, 3, a lot of people didn't like the water physics in it. I mean, I can see why. It was a little bit clunky, but if you want to play something that everybody's playing, I would either go with Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate for the Switch, or if you're on a 3DS, play Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, because a lot of people still play it. I still play it. Such great games. On to my last franchise that I'm going to show in this video, and of course, a lot of people are going to be disappointed because I didn't mention Mario, or Sonic, or Metroid, or Samus, but of course, my last franchise that I just adore, and I have a ton of games, and I've played so much, and that would be The Legend of Zelda. Of course, I got Wind Waker here. I have the promotional disc that had the first Zelda, second Zelda, Ocarina of Time, and then Majora's Mask, which is how I originally played these games, because this is the original copy that I had. And of course, I had a playable demo of Wind Waker, which I finally got back. Spent so much time on this game. I literally sat in a closet with a little TV and my GameCube, and I 100%ed it. I even did every single little map square, found the fish, gave it the thing, gave it the berries so that it would show me exactly what was in each one of the squares on the sea chart. I spent way too much time in that game. And then, of course, Twilight Princess for the GameCube and the Wii. I know I got a fun-loving Xbox 360 case for it. I thought it fit. It was green. It was, Legend of Zelda. And then a game I still need to finish, but I haven't yet. Of course, there's Skyward Sword. Great game. And then I have a spin-off, Legend of Zelda Hyrule Warriors Legends, because it's the one with all the DLC, basically. Well, the extra stuff. There's still more DLC that I still need to get for it, but I haven't bought it yet. I mean, I got a little bit of it, but I still need more. Finally beat this game, which is The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds. And then, of course, I have both the remakes of The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask for the 3DS. And then I recently got The Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass, which I've actually been enjoying quite a bit. Also, I have The Legend of Zelda A Link to the Past. Great game. Still need to finish it, even though I have finished A Link Between Worlds, which is heavily based off from this, with a new mechanic where you can merge to the wall. Love it. Still need to beat it. Great game. I also have it on my 3DS so I can take it on the go. And then, of course, I have it for the Wii U as well, because I got that for that first, because I didn't have a Switch then. I had a Wii U, and of course, that's The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Haven't tried the new, I think at the time I end up putting this video up, Age of Calamity should be out, which I think looks, from what I've seen, looks kind of like a Dynasty Warrior type game, which is similar to the Hyrule Warriors Legends. But they're all fantastic games, and of course, if you're a gamer, you know The Legend of Zelda. all of them. If not, at least one or two of them, and y'all have your favorites. Y'all have your number ones. A lot of you is probably the Ocarina of Time, but I would have to say my favorite, and this is a biased opinion because everybody has their own opinion, and that would have to be Majora's Mask. Just for the darker tone that the game took, I loved it. I played a ton of it on my promo disc with the 4 Zeldas and the demo. They're all great games, and if you've stuck around to the video to this point, I thank you. Hope you enjoy the content I bring. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Let me know some of your favorite franchises in the comments below. And have a great day. Or night, depending on if you're watching at night or during the day. Have a good night, have a good day. Till next time.